Welcome to Am I the Bleep?
So, for those of you just joining us, welcome
Literally
to
everyone. It's the beginning of the episode. Yes.
well,
Welcome.
well, for those
The
of
beginning
you,
of the episode.
welcome to Am I the Bleep, the podcast where Dr. John and I discern who's the asshole, who's not, and we also take a deep look at what's going on underneath the hood from a mental health perspective and all the other a coaching perspective,
Yeah.
all the perspectives. John and I are both extremely wise. Well, maybe half of us are, and we have all the perspective. But I have a quick story to share. So basically, it's my common law bash this Saturday. And for those of you who are unaware of what this brand new type of event is, my girlfriend and I realized that we're common law and we wanted to sign some kind of agreement. We don't want to get married because we're complex like that. And it's a very casual event. Like my whole life, all I've wanted when it comes to a roomies for life type of scenario is to have, jeans, t-shirt, a pizza party. And John, why don't you tell everyone what you're planning on wearing to this jeans and t-shirt pizza party event?
Well, so I've got this choir concert the day before, and so I have to wear a tux, and I have the tux till the end of Saturday. So, I think what I'll do is I'll just come in a tuxedo to your common law bash. What do you think of that?
Everyone will feel really underdressed. I think I think I'll be okay with it. I think I'll be like, yeah, like I feel like for you, casual is more showing up in a tux.
Well, here's how I rate it. If you're wearing a cummerbund, now you're fancy. If you're not wearing a cummerbund, that's casual.
It's just a jacket.
It's just a jacket, right? It's just a vest and a jacket and a button-down shirt and a black bow tie.
Are you one of those people who did you get like a velvet tuxedo?
It is shiny. I don't think it's quite velvet. I think the whole point is that you don't stick out when you're in that kind of ensemble.
In a choir.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say, like, I said, oh, I'll get a tie, and then I talked to the rest of the crew, the rest of the octogenarians that are in my choir, and they're just like, oh,
that means 80-year-olds for
80-year-olds, exactly.
For those of you who don't know what that means.
It's a great word for 80-year-olds. If you know any 80-year-olds, you should be calling them octogenarians. I highly recommend it. Anyway, so they're all like, oh yeah, and we all have our bow ties, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna be the only fool in a tie. So I call them up, and Moore's the tuxedo place is slowly going into their system. That was like, it sounded like it was developed in 1982, and they're like hacking into the mainframe and being like, can we change this tie to a bow tie? I had time to water my plants, eat a bagel, and stretch in the time that it took to change this tie to a bow tie. But it's all taken care of. Hopefully everything arrives on time, and I'll be very fancy / casual, especially when I go to your party fully decked out.
And that whole bit really ties into our first post. See.
Oh, am I the asshole here? Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love pretending that I'm about to just do a natural segue. This has been for like the duration of every single podcast we've ever been on.
Never. Yeah.
I always have like, oh yeah, this will be good, and then I'm just like, no wait, I need everyone to tell me it's good too. And I'll just go ahead. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
It's the right thing to do.
Right thing.
And without further ado, we're gonna.
You didn't have it pulled up, did you?
No, I did.
Okay.
I always just shrink my Zoom screen so I can read it without having to look at myself reading it or you listening to me read it.
You don't have to look at my mug. Okay.
Just imagining you with the bow tie and the t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Am I the asshole for not serving alcohol at my baby's first birthday party? The title sounds so ridiculous, I cannot believe I'm writing this. My baby turned 1 last week, so we planned a little party for him last week. We were supposed to have only one party with both sides of the family, but my sister-in-law and her husband live far away. They have not met our baby yet. The last time we saw them was before the plague. That's COVID-19 for those of you listening in 30 years from now.
No, they're talking about the Black Plague. This took place in the Middle Ages.
30 years from ago. And they postponed their visit for a week. So we had a party with my side of the family, my mom, my two siblings, and their partners last week. And another party yesterday with my husband's side, his mom, my sister-in-law, and her husband. As you can see, it was two very small gatherings. Basically, both time we did the same thing. A meal, a cake, they gave gifts to the baby, fawned over him, took 1 billion pictures and videos, and we chatted while the baby napped for half the party. I'm breastfeeding, so I don't drink any alcohol, and my husband doesn't like alcohol much, so he stopped along with me. We didn't even think about buying alcohol for the parties because the last time we bought alcohol was like 2 years ago, lol. I thought the party with my family-in-law went well and everyone was happy until I received a text from my mother-in-law this morning asking me why I didn't serve any alcohol and that it was in poor taste to neglect my guests. It seems my sister-in-law is very upset because of me because she thinks I was cheap when they came all the way to see us and bring gifts to our baby. To be clear, my husband was the one who planned the second party and bought sodas and juices because that's what he wanted to buy. I didn't know why I'm being blamed. The thing is, not serving alcohol for the party is rare and kind of weird here, but my family didn't say anything about it, so we just went with the same plan for the second party. And before anyone says anything about my husband, he called his mom and asked what the hell was going on, and said if they're not happy with our way of hosting, they don't have to come next time. I guess I'm asking if we are the asshole because it seems extreme to not have them over again for such a small issue. We can just buy alcohol next time. Dr. John Rom. So, hold up. This is a bit of a tricky post because there's two Am I the Asshole questions. There's Am I the Asshole for not serving alcohol at my baby's first birthday party? And then there's this sort of secondary Am I the Asshole, which I believe is the point here, which is Am I the Asshole to make this issue? If it's like in their mind a small issue, they can just buy alcohol next time. So you can.
Oh, you're saying like, even if you don't feel like you're an asshole for not having alcohol at the party, it's possible that you're an asshole for saying like, oh, and I'm not going to do this in the future, and if you don't like it, you don't have to come. Like it's
Yeah, I guess
basically
I'm
a
just looking at
two-parter.
I'm just looking at the last line. I guess I'm asking if we're the asshole because it seems extreme to not have them over again for such a small issue. We can just buy the alcohol next time. So there's like the two questions in a way.
Yeah. It's in a previous episode. Not that everyone has to listen to the entire back catalog
But
in
you
order
should.
to. Oh yeah, you don't have,
You
but you
must.
don't have to. I'll summarize. We had a wedding that they didn't want to serve any drinks whatsoever, ever other than water. No pop, no alcohol, nothing. And
Right.
and some might say that this question rings of that a little. So, and I'm gonna give actually the opposite answer of what I gave in that previous example. This example, I don't think you're being an asshole at all for not having alcohol at a one year old's birthday party. And I think that this is partially a cultural thing. I remember in my life I've heard this debate over should there be alcohol at children's parties, because for the parents obviously it's like very boring. If it's not family, it can be very boring. It's possible that you're bringing your child to this other child's
Right.
house, and then you're just meant to mingle with parents, and maybe alcohol would help some, socially lubricate that. um and I'm not here to pass judgment on that. I don't think that that's my business to say, oh, this is wrong or right or wrong. But I think that there's also problems that arise if you have alcohol at a children's party, because some parents will get belligerently drunk out of boredom and then act in a way that's inappropriate, both generally and around children. But that's very much like the letter of the law. I think the spirit of the law here is it's your house. If you don't want to have alcohol at a party and you're the one hosting, don't have alcohol at your party. It's not a necessity. It's a you know, it's a thing that you can add on top. And even if it's like the cultural norm, you don't have to follow every cultural norm just to be a good host. You just have to, maybe give them a heads up. That would be a nice thing to do. It's not extremely necessary, but it's kind to tell people like this is the kind of party that you're going to.
Right.
But you don't have to have alcohol there. Now, the other story here is that this escalated so fast. Like your partner telling his mom not to come to a party for presumably her grandchild is like, it's not ideal. It's not a great way to handle family members, because it's their family too. You're you have to make decisions to obviously for the good of your children, but cutting off their grandparents from them is not necessarily a kind gesture. In some cases, that obviously is. I'm not saying this is a blanket gesture. I'm just saying that in this case, it sounds like they love this child very much, and they took a billion pictures, and they just were annoyed at this supposed faux pas that you did. I know that's a long-winded answer, but I think if you combine these two things, you're being kind of an asshole in how you're handling other people being an asshole. You're overreacting.
An assholeception of some sort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you can be right and still be an asshole. And we say that on the show sometimes, and I think this rings true here. You can be right. I think you don't have to have alcohol at your party, and they don't have to they can't really demand it, but you don't have to cut them off completely. You can just say, like, this is the situation. I understand you're upset. We don't want alcohol for these reasons, or we just don't care to have alcohol. And I hope you'll just respect that. That's how we want to run our infant's party.
Yeah, I think, and there's this edit later too, which is to answer the most frequent questions. We're French. They were expecting wine with the meal and champagne with the cake, and it was lunch in the afternoon. After that, they left around 6 p.m. And the husband is still super mad at them, but as far as I'm concerned, the issue is solved. That's the original poster. Next time we'll say in advance we don't have alcohol, and if they want to drink, they can BYOB. And I think that is a great way to deal with it. Like, if people have an expectation of a party and in the invitation you say BYOB, like, even if you were going to have some alcohol there, but then people wanted more, or whatever the case is, you know what to expect. Like John showing up to my party on Saturday in a tux. Like, I've been pretty clear, but if that's his definition of casual, I mean, like, who am I to judge, right?
Yeah, because you didn't define casual.
You're right, exactly.
You haven't defined what casual means.
And I think the real question for me here is, what do you really, really want with your family? And if your job is to be really close with your family and you want them to be involved in your infant's life, the whole, like, if you're not happy, then don't bother showing up thing. I mean, maybe there were other things going on at this event that, sort of triggered that kind of response. We could ask some questions around that. Like, we'd want to hear more of the story here. But yeah, I would say here, really, the original poster is fine. They were okay. Like, all right, yeah, like, fair point. We'll let you know next time, and if you want, you can BYOB. Or maybe we'll get like champagne with the cake. But the husband, or the partner, kind of went a little off the rails here, I would say. So I would say, like, they're kind of an asshole. And in terms of not having alcohol at your 1-year-old's birthday party, and I think here's the difference between this one and the wedding. I think when people go to, and like, is the baby the one enjoying the alcohol? Like, you're going there to celebrate them. If you don't want to have alcohol, don't have alcohol. That's fine. It's an afternoon party. It's a backyard. There's cake, and they're napping the whole time. Is it a norm that there is alcohol at parties? Yeah. So again, I like the solution of BYOB and just let them know what they can expect. I think that is the right way to go here. And also, happy birthday to that infant.
Yeah. Sorry,
Laval
your family.
de la Sorcière. I don't know, and I'm sorry for anyone who speaks French who's like this bumbling idiot over here trying to read French. Laval de la Sorcière.
Oh, that has to mean something, right?
Maybe it's a nickname of sorts. I'm not sure, but
9 years of French we took.
yeah, I know it's wild. I did
No,
10 actually. Uh,
that's worse.
and one more thing I think is really important is that to celebrate a 1 year old, if you're gonna drink, like put in the baby bottle, like that'd be fun, you know?
Oh, so everyone's just like the entire party just
Well,
suckling
one of
on
one of my
baby
good
bottles.
friends who listens to the show will often say, "Oh yeah, I'm just chooching over here," and I'm like, "Chooching on the bottle, like, but
Choo-choo?
it's a baby bottle."
I don't know how I feel about that.
Uh, it, I don't know. At first, I wasn't sure either, but then now, whenever I'm saying, "Oh yeah, I'm just I'm over here chooching on my coffee," and I can't believe that just became something I say now.
So instead of getting turned, you're getting chooched.
No, it's you don't get chooched. You're chooching on something that gets
Yeah,
you
I
turned.
see. You chooch. One chooch is
One chooches exactly.
one.
You can chooch your own destiny.
Speaking of
You cannot.
chooching
You can
our
be
own
right or you
destiny,
can be the asshole, as our sages
or
have said.
you can chooch or you can cheech.
Exactly.
The next post is another choocher, and they write, "Am I the asshole for not wanting to take my wife's photos? My wife and I have been married for a year, and we've been together for about 7. An argument that recurs frequently, especially when we're on vacation, centers around her desire to take multiple photos and my absolute disdain for being the person who has to take all of them. Here's how it typically plays out. We visit a new place. She immediately asks me to take her picture. I oblige. But then she berates me if the picture is quote unquote ugly or if she thinks I made little attempt to take a good picture. So then I have to take another photo. She reviews and the process repeats until she's satisfied. Personally, I've never been big on taking photos while on vacation. I have not traveled I have not traveled a lot internationally. I like to be in the moment, taking in the whole site and get lost in my thoughts. However, I feel like I have to interrupt this experience multiple times to take her pictures or get into a selfie with her. Then I lose out on the experience because all of a sudden a photo takes precedence. In the past, I've snapped a quick picture with little effort to get back to what I was there to do, experience something new. After getting called out multiple times for my low effort, I now attempt to take a good picture or at least listen to her instructions so that I get the picture to her liking. But recently, she's called my pictures ugly, even when I made an attempt to take quote unquote good photos. This results in me taking dozens of pictures in the same place of the same person with the same backdrop until she's satisfied or until I lose patience and tell her I'm done. Moreover, she's even gotten upset with me for posting a picture of her to social media that she didn't like, even though I actually thought the pictures looked good. My wife is naturally gorgeous, physically, but I don't need a good picture to show that. I like to consider myself creative. And sometimes I just like a good candid picture of her eating an ice cream or fixing her glasses. We have to go back to that comment that he considers himself creative, but okay. But let me unwittingly share said photo on social media and a whole argument ensues. I think the whole situation is stupid. IMO photographs are an afterthought, a tool, not the main objective. I want to see new things and experience new people. I have a little desire to take pictures beyond what I need to remember in the moment or to capture. Oh, I have a little desire to take pictures beyond what I need to remember the moment or to capture something aesthetically pleasing. I know it's reasonable to want pictures of yourself, but at some point the whole exercise becomes excessive. In my opinion, that point is when the pictures begin to distract from the whole purpose we're there, to see and experience something new. My wife and I are currently in Italy, sitting silently in a hotel room because I objected to her 20th something selfie in front of the Coliseum. It's raining and I wanted to move on to the next site. We had already taken many photos together in front of the Coliseum. Am I the asshole?
I think you're the asshole because you said IMO first and then in my opinion after. Pick a side. Like, I
You know
hate
what I
that.
realized as I was reading? It actually is just as fast to say, in my opinion, as it is to say
IMO.
IMO. So I was just like, why don't I just read? Like,
Pick
why do
a
I have to?
side.
Yeah, LOL,
Um,
ROFL.
okay, I have some opinions here.
Sure,
Um,
sure. I have lots of opinions too, so I'm excited to hear yours and see where we land.
okay, and I love how every episode, and we don't plan this, but they all have a theme. And the theme of this one is, what do you really want? And if your goal is to take pictures, or sorry, if your goal is to like go and explore and get lost in your thought, what the, and pardon my French on this one in Italy, what the fuck are you doing sitting inside of your hotel room, both being upset in the middle of Italy? Like, neither of the actions brought you closer to your goal of having a beautiful trip, being able to explore and get lost in your thoughts, of her taking pictures, or, and I hope this is true, you've been married for a year and been together for about 7, having a beautiful romantic trip in Italy. Maybe you get to go to Italy often, maybe you don't. It's like, I've been there and it's so romantic. Even if you're just like angrily eating gelato, you're having the most romantic experience you've ever had. And you're sitting in the hotel room and not exploring. And
Mamma
that's,
mia! Sorry to interrupt. Mamma mia! What a waste of time. Thank you. Go on.
we should get that on a shirt.
Yeah.
But
Mamma mia, what a waste of time. And then with our logo on top of it.
just our
Oh
animated
no.
faces, like,
I would 100% wear a shirt that says that.
but this is so upsetting to me. So, and we can substitute, like, I've definitely, I totally relate to this original poster where I hate taking pictures. I hate being in pictures. And if I'm in a place that I've spent like, $2,000 to go see the world, I want to like to go talk to people. I want to be the first one in the morning at the piazza having a cappuccino and then learning like why the cornetti is different than the croissant. I want to like explore and do all of that. The act of taking 100 photos can get frustrating. There's this extra piece to this photos, which is that initially it sounds like when this original poster was taking photos, they were putting in low effort, and the partner got used to saying, hey, I don't like these photos because you're not putting effort in. And now that they're putting in effort, it's still being perceived as not putting effort. And whether it's a good photo or not, I'm wondering if there actually is a good photo or not, or that the wife just wants to see effort. Like, where else is this popping up into this relationship where there might be a lack of effort because they have a different vision of what a scenario should be like, right? Or a different opinion. The way I would deal with this, and then I'm going to get to my asshole opinion, is that before going on a trip, if you have this different opinion, you've been together for 7 years, married for 1 year, and you've mentioned taking photos in the past and this issue popping up again and again, talk about it. Say, hey, we're going to Italy. Maybe I've never been. Maybe I've been, but I haven't, actually gone to see the Colosseum because last time, like, we went to Florence or something like that. And I really want to just be able to take my time to explore. What do you need to be successful or happy? Hopefully, happy. Like, you want to be happy, not just successful at a vacation. Um, what do you need to make that work? I need a picture in front of here, 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 and here. One, going in with the expectation and going in knowing like, hey, like, I'm going to really try, but sometimes I'm not the best at taking photos. Maybe I need like more help on how to take a good photo. And just talk about that. If your goal is to have a happy, loving vacation in Italy, don't get into this scenario. Like, don't push each other away. So step one, set the expectation. Step two, talk about difference of opinion or your needs. Step three, don't be in a hotel room in the middle of Italy while it's raining. Step four, I would say kind of the asshole. I don't think this is a full asshole behavior. I think we're or need to learn. That's a nicer way to say that. Some of the skills around communicating with your partner. John is the real asshole. Again, pick a side.
Thank you for clarifying.
The truth. You can
Yeah,
be right or you can be the asshole.
Yeah, the person who reads the post out loud is always the asshole. That's the guarantee.
100%.
We only add who is also the asshole, which should be actually the name of our show. I agree with you. I you know, so not to really so as to not reiterate everything you just said. Instead, I want to talk about the underlying idea here, which is there are going to be times in a relationship where your values do not align. In this case, it is the value of how to get the most out of a vacation, which is a very small deal on the grand scale of the values you need to, find common ground on in a relationship. You're not buying a house, you're not moving to Italy. You're both of you seem to think it's okay to sit in the rain in a rainy hotel room in Italy and spend your time that way being angry at each other instead of talking it out and making up. So you've clearly met on that in that place. But the truth here is that you don't see eye to eye on this issue, and that's totally okay, because now you can practice showing up for the other person. Both of you can, and you've given each other, you've in the story you've told each other what you need from the other person. The writer, the poster, needs their wife to relax on the pictures to the point that the pictures get taken and the objective is met, but the quality of the picture is not always going to be 100% where she wants it to be, where the wife wants it to be. It's not always, it can't take more than a certain amount of time because it detracts from the experience of their partner. And the poster, they need to understand that people like what they like. This is how your wife enjoys vacations, and there is no right or wrong here. Like, they're trying to kind of logic it out and be like, oh, I'm the pictures are like this and like vacations are like that. Like, I totally believe that's how you see vacations. But to show up for your partner would be to let them experience vacations the way they like it, while also getting to experience the way you like it, and meeting in the middle so you both get to have a good time.
I think that's so true too, because like if you were to sub out a lot of this stuff, and let's say like we make a much simpler situation, one in which your partner really loves eating, I don't know, croque madame sandwiches, and you hate croque madame sandwiches more than anything. The nicest thing you can do is when your partner either like succeeded or like having a rough day, if you were to show up to them with a croque madame, and like not that you need to eat the croque madame, or you could, and you sit there and participate in that croque madame with them, you're like showing up for your partner in the way that they want to. And like sub that for this vacation in Italy and the picture taking against the way you want to have the vacation. There's a way where you can have all of the things, but it's not about taking photos. It's not about the logic of it all. It's about your wife enjoys taking photos. It has nothing to do with any of the other things. It's something they like, and you have a choice to show up for them or not, or to sort of set the expectations as you need.
And it's not like you hate taking photos. You've admitted
they're a creative.
They're a creative. Hey, folks, don't call yourself a creative. And listen, we don't judge on this show. I'm not judging this person for saying they're creative. I'm saying it doesn't communicate what you think it communicates. It's doing yourself a disservice. Telling people that you're a creative only tells people that you think you're a creative, and that that's something you have to prove. That's something that other people should think of you, not think about yourself. Anyway, the truth is that this person likes to take pictures of their quote unquote gorgeous wife. So it's not like they're not willing to take pictures. They just want it to be candid and the way they like it. But first of all, don't take
Great
photos
point.
of people without their permission. If whether you're married to them or not, it doesn't matter. You're robbing them of a right to privacy that they have. Even if they post 20 pictures of themselves, maybe they don't want the world to see them eating ice cream. I have a picture of me eating ice cream in
You don't want that
downtown
posted.
Toronto when I was 16 years old, and I was I was doing that thing where you're like about to like bite into the cone because the ice cream has gone too far down, so you need to remove some cone to get better access to the ice cream. And it's basically just a picture of me with a cone sticking out of my mouth, looking forlorn. A good part of me wishes that picture doesn't exist in the world, and hopefully it doesn't get found now that I've reminded the world that it exists. But the lesson is that, you know, I love eating ice cream. I don't think anyone should have to see or hear me eat ice cream. And I can understand where your wife is coming from, and I think everyone has the right to not have pictures taken of them, which is so funny that we're talking about this in this context, because it clearly the wife loves having pictures taken of her, but it's on her terms, and that's her right, and that's how you show up for your partner. Let them have the vacation on their terms. Let them have pictures taken of them on their terms, and expect the same sort of consideration in return. That's a partnership. That's why you go on vacation with a person, because presumably you like spending time with them and you're trying to experience something together, not separately next to each other.
One more thing that I noticed, and this is something like sometimes when I read a journal, like I'll have one set of, you know, questions that I'm going to ask, because we definitely skip a lot of the coaching steps here, and we're like jumping to the am I the asshole. It's kind of like a mishmash of figuring all of this stuff out. But one thing that I do is I look for the specific words that people use, and then I build my questions around that. And when John shared his opinion, and normally I try not to listen to him, but this time he had some good stuff to say. Rereading through the journal, or the post rather, my wife is naturally gorgeous physically, but I don't need a good picture to show that. There's a lot of I language here, and we're not really considering what the wife wants. And I would be very curious what things look like when it's not like sort of like the trigger, like, oh, here we are taking 100 pictures again. What do things look like in the day-to-day, and are we showing up as partners to take good care of our partner in the way that they, not I, need to do it? And I'd be curious about that. That's where I would want to eventually go here. And where you're going to need to eventually go before we get into our last post is to the journal that talks back.
Oh, this is good. This is a good one. This is a good one. No, please keep going. What a good one you did. I'm proud of you.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so happy.
You did a good job.
Yes, that's all I need, recognition. The journal that talks back.com. There you can book a call with me, and we can get you into match it. We can match you. That's English, with one of our 9 fantastic coaches. I hear you. I get your story. Totally confidential. And if you're interested, we match you with one of our own coaches. It's just $200 a month for unlimited coaching. You track your mood, your sleep, your stress, you journal, and your coach reads in response to everything within 24 hours, which means no appointments. And you can get coached on your phone or your laptop, whatever you need. It's awesome. There are no robots. There's no world domination, just unbridled support. And if that's not something for you, but you're also looking to get some support but don't know where to turn, you can also book a call and say, I need help, but coaching isn't for me. And we have a whole mental health directory on the website, on the journal.talksback.com. And I can also help you navigate what you need navigating towards. And we also have merch. You can buy an Am I the Bleep hoodie. It's sexy as all heck. There's lots of different shirts. And then $5 goes towards Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto this month, but it'll be a rotating charity every couple of months. And $5 also goes to the Pay It Forward Fund to help people who can't afford our coaching to afford them some coaching. And we can just jump right in to the next post, which I will read because I like hearing my own voice.
Do it.
And
I like hearing your voice too.
Thanks,
I know I don't say that enough, but those sultry tones.
Oh, stop giving me I can't. Cassandra's
no,
my girlfriend's gonna hate me later. I'm too recognized now.
No, you have to. I'm gonna make you red. That's gonna be the visual cue of this episode. You've gotten to the ad break when I compliment Jonathan to the point of him turning red as a beet.
So red. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend his girlfriend is disgusting? I'm not going to make assumptions based on the title. I will not. I, a 22-year-old female, have been friends with Danny, a 22-year-old male, since high school. He recently moved in with his current girlfriend, Lucy, a 22-year-old female. They had a housewarming party on Friday, and Lucy spent most of the night dancing with her own friends who are very like her, excitable, extroverted, for example, and dragging Danny away from conversations with us, his friends, to dance even though he's more like us, introverted, not party animals. Later, Danny was being quiet, so I asked if he was okay, and he said he's just tired. But he just kept watching Lucy dancing and then said something in her ear the next time she came over, and she just shook her head and laughed at him. After she went back to her friends, I asked if it was bothering him how she was behaving, and he asked me to explain. I mentioned the attention-seeking dancing and the fact she was wearing something really revealing even though other guys were at this party. Danny said it didn't bother him, then sat with a moody face. At the end of the night, Lucy sat down with us and started chatting nonstop about how amazing the party had been. I pointed out jokingly, Danny obviously wasn't enjoying himself since he looked miserable. Danny told her I was worried he was jealous because of her outfit. Lucy ruffled his hair, which he hates, and said he was quiet because he loved her outfit so much. He couldn't wait for us all to leave so he could drag her to bed. I thought that was completely inappropriate and said to Danny in that case I'd leave. She was going to be disgusting, and Lucy just laughed at me, so I did leave. Today, Danny has messaged me saying Lucy wants an apology before I'm allowed back at their home. When I asked if Lucy will apologize for making me feel uncomfortable, he said no, she doesn't have anything to be sorry about. I was genuinely only worried about my friend, but admit I could have just left without calling her disgusting. So, am I the asshole? So I have like a hair caught in my nose ring, and it's like weird. It's like such a weird feeling.
Yeah, pick your nose on camera. It's fine.
Okay, great.
No, that's great. Yeah, everyone give us like a minute, a full 60 seconds.
Yeah, here.
Clean out your nose. This is good.
This is good. One of my mustache hairs just like straight into the nose ring. Sorry. All right, I'm good now. You go ahead. Keeping that in as always. All au naturel.
Okay. So this is a fun post because I think it's good to talk about coaching for a little bit.
Yep.
Folks, in a real coaching scenario, you want to assign positive intent to a person. You want to see where they're coming from. You want to understand their motivations. You want to understand them. You want to check your story. Checking your story means, in this case, there may be a few listeners who, like me, have picked up on the fact that this poster is maybe a little jealous, a little bit possessive of her friend Danny. And I will remind everyone that at 22 years old, that is want to happen, just like it's want to happen your entire life, but it's 22 is a charged time. You know, you're an adult, but you're new at being an adult, all those things. And so we don't pass judgment. And so it's easy to judge this person. It's easy to say, oh, how could you talk to this this girl like that? That's so rude. But we try to empathize because we also remember being 22. We remember the fact that like everything seemed like a much bigger deal. Everything seemed very justified. You felt like you were right. And maybe the positive intention should be highlighted here. She wants her friend Danny to have a good time with his girlfriend. Is there more subtext there? Is there more going on? Maybe. But the point is that the outward intention, the basic intention to have your friend have a good time is not mean, it's not sour, it's not cruel. And so we coach to the effect of, did your actions allow your friend Danny to have a good time? And the answer is no. We know for a fact that this caused a conversation with Danny's girlfriend, who felt judged and who felt like she was mistreated in her own home by Danny's longtime friend since high school. And if you're in a relationship and your partner feels bad because of your friends, that's now your problem. So you didn't show up for your friend. Did you show up for this person who could be your friend, who is someone who is dating Danny and sounds like she was having a good time? No, it sounded like you were prioritizing your friend Danny over this other person who you're not as close with. Did you show up for yourself? Did you represent yourself well? Because trying to be a good friend, even trying to be a good friend, if that's all that's happening here, and we'll take it at face value, you can still be an asshole while trying to do that. You can still create collateral damage and hurt other people's feelings to be someone's good friend. And I'll give you an example. When I was 22, I was walking down the road on Halloween with one of my friends, and she's tough as nails. And we get accosted by this guy who starts asking me why I don't have a good Halloween costume, which fair diss. And she straight up takes a swing at this guy and lays him out. No conversation, no discussion to be had. Just completely knocks him on his butt.
That's amazing.
And she would later say, he was harassing you, so I laid him out because I'm a good friend. It's like, yes, but you did violence and probably did a bad thing. Because that person
you did a violence.
Yeah, I mean that problem that you created a new problem for me, which is this person can follow up in a court battle, or this person has ways to just come after me now, and reason to, when he sobers up and wakes up after you've laid him out. And you also really could have hurt him, and that's also not good. I don't want people to be hurt. So you can try to do a good thing for good reasons and end up doing it in a bad way. And I think that would be the coaching here, is that if you really feel like you were trying to, defend Danny's honor, there are different ways to do that don't hurt the girlfriend and don't make Danny uncomfortable. And that is usually a part of not being 22 anymore. That's usually a part of becoming a little bit older and seeing there are consequences for everyone when you try to defend your friend. Loyalty doesn't supersede being a kind person and trying to take care of people. So that's my 2 cents. I know that's long-winded, and I apologize, but I think it's important to remember, it's very easy to judge in this story. It's very, very easy to just look at the poster and say, you did this wrong, you were bad, forget about it. But that's not coaching. Coaching is, how can we do better next time? And what were you trying to accomplish? And how could you have gotten closer to that goal?
Yeah, for sure.
Not cause a rift. Anyway, what do you think?
That's good. That's good. I think for me, and for anyone else listening, I think it's really important that if we ever see a friend struggling, or we think we see a friend struggling, it's important to ask, how are you doing, before assigning what you think they're feeling onto them. Because in this case, we made a couple of errors. And again, to John's point, our goal coaching this original poster is we're going to figure out how to do better next time. And that's cool. But you're talking to Danny. I mentioned the attention seeking dancing. Did anybody say it's attention seeking? Maybe. Let's ask that, right? And then that it was something revealing, that so on and so forth. And it sounds like you were just sort of like assigning, like, hey, you should feel a little, about this situation to Danny. And that puts Danny in a weird spot, right? So there is an edit, which is that, to clarify, and this is from the original poster, I didn't say the comment about her clothes directly to Lucy. I asked Danny once, then never mentioned again. I asked him because I know in the past he said anything overly sexual makes him uncomfortable. He's not the kind of guy who makes innuendos or anything. Also, I'm in no way to be jealous of Lucy. She's the opposite of how I'd want to be, which is fine. People can be who they want. And Danny and I already tried dating years ago, but the spark wasn't there and it was uncomfortable. After we tried being intimate, and we both agreed we were better as completely platonic friends. We don't know, just because you dated him in the past doesn't mean you know what Lucy and Danny's relationship is like. Maybe when they're alone, they like being overly sexual, and that's a big part of their relationship. And Danny, and I don't know, we'd have to talk to Danny about it, but maybe Danny and Lucy have that kind of relationship, and Lucy brings that out in him, and that could be a really great thing. Could be a bad thing, but it could be a great thing, and we don't know. So to call Lucy, she was going to be disgusting, and I mean, you could say that in jest. I can see why Lucy didn't take that in a positive way, but we don't want to assign based on our experience of somebody what we believe their experience should be, unless it's a more positive version of themselves to themselves. So let me give you an example of what that would look like. If John comes to me broodingly, like, like when somebody has like, it's
like
kind
I
of
usually do,
as you do, like the half scrunch face, and they're like, I'm a piece of shit, I hate everything, like nobody likes me. And we talk about it, and we discover that, like, hey, like, they're not seeing themselves in a positive light. At that point, it's okay for me to say, hey, John, I see you up here. You're the co-host of Am I the Bleep, and you're a fucking legend. I can bring that up. And sorry, I'm swearing today. I have a potty mouth today. But that's okay to share. When it comes to issues around religion, sexuality, any of those topics, there's no version of a more positive version of somebody else, because everyone is entitled to their beliefs. And we're not sure what Danny's beliefs are at this point in time. You can be their friend and not deeply know their sexual preferences, and that's okay. And we can't judge Lucy for that either, without really, like, we don't know her yet. So that edit, I think, was really interesting, because if it was just a top post, I'd ask, like, hey, do you and Danny have history? What's the relationship like with Lucy? Have you run into her before? Have you had, like, what's your experience been? But we want to help Lucy, or sorry, the original poster, just have their relationship with Danny the way they want. And that's as far as it needs to go. You can say, hey, Danny, how are you feeling? I see Lucy's dancing and you're not dancing. Have you spoken about that? Is that something that affects you, or are you happy, like, both being like different parts, two sides of a different, like, of a same coin? Like, she's the extroverted, you're the introverted. And there are lots of relationships like that. Like, for example, Cassandra, my girlfriend, and I went to a wedding on Friday night, or Saturday night, and I was in a bit of a brooding mood, but I hate dancing. Like, it's really not my thing. I want to just sit down at a table and talk to somebody, sip on something like really bitter and gross to most people, but to me it makes me feel like a man. And Cassandra can, like, just go and dance and, like, be with her friends. And we love that. Like, it's really cool for me to see her, like, in her element, having fun. And she's like, yeah, Jonathan's, like, in a safe place doing what Jonathan does. Doesn't make anybody disgusting, right? So we want to ask how you're doing before sort of assigning your beliefs onto somebody else's thinking. It's not functional.
And I think there's another element we can talk about here, because I talked about the narrative where like this poster is secretly in love with Danny or whatever nonsense you'd have to assign to this in order to make this make sense to you.
Yeah.
But this does remind me of how you have friends, and we've been friends since high school, and we have a friend group that's been together since high school, and we've had the privilege to watch each of those people change and evolve and grow into their 20s and now their late 20s and 30s. And there's a feeling where you've known a person for a really long time, and that you think you know a lot about them because you remember everything you learned about them when you met them and when you got to know them, and you assume that all those things are true. But I can tell you with a lot of confidence, I am not 22-year-old John. I am not 18-year-old John. I'm barely me now. No, I'm saying that you change. You evolve into who you're going.
You're the most John you've ever been.
I'm the most John I've ever been. I people have the right to change and to evolve. And you don't have to feel jealous about that. You don't have to feel envious. You don't have to feel like you're losing that person. It's part of a relationship to have both of you evolve into the people that you are evolving into, and find new ways to harmonize and become the friends that you're going to be. And there's always an adjustment period. There's always, getting used to what that friendship now looks like. But if you try to hold on to everything you believe this person is and was, and don't let them become who they are, and don't let them be who they are, or be in the relationships that they're going to be in, you're going to find that you're just kind of holding on to a ghost of a person. Meanwhile, you're ignoring the relationship that's right in front of you. And that's
poignant. That's poignant.
Yeah. That is going to be on a t-shirt. It's going to be a really long t-shirt. It's going to have to be on the back, because you don't want people reading your tummy and chest area
and saying that's poignant.
Yeah, exactly. But people will turn around, read your back as you walk away, and they'll shout behind you, "That's poignant!" And you'll turn around and be like, "I know."
What does poignant mean?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know that word. That's poignant.
So, are they the asshole? Yes. Yeah, but I mean, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, everybody's an asshole when they're 20. Nobody likes you when you're 23, as the words of Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge go from Blink-182. Sorry, John, you're too old for that one. And not a big...
I can only blink 10 times.
Yeah, not 182.
Not 182 times.
But it's okay. It's really important to know, like, hey, this is what I did. Did it bring me closer to what I want? No. Does that make you a failure? It means that action did not work. Call it a failure, call it whatever you want. But what do you want next time? Do you want to be closer to Danny? Yes. Be closer to Danny. Act in ways that like support Danny and their relationship, because that's what they're choosing. Yeah. And what you should be choosing is to go through our entire backlog of Am I the Bleep? I think we're on episode, this will be like 13 or something like that. We have a lot more to keep going on. Very, very excited about it. But we also have a lot that we've done. Check it out, listen to it. We
also had a different podcast that I still think you should listen to, Character Coaching.
People are listening to it.
Awesome. Yeah, go back. Listen, I stand by everything we did. It was
strong.
It was poignant.
It was poignant. And if you're looking to where to find that, you can find it at the journal that talksback.com. johntherom.com. You can find it at the journal that talksback.com/am I the bleep. You'll find all of our episodes there, as well as some accompanying blog posts. They're really, really fantastic. You can also find us on Facebook at the Journal That Talks Back. You can find us on TikTok at Am I the Bleep. You can find us on Instagram also as Journal That Talks Back. Join the conversation, like, comment, share if you like this podcast. Share a review, share your thoughts. Say something poignant.
Give us 5 stars on
Minimum 10.
iTunes Music
15.
or
15.
Apple
Give us 30
Music
stars
or whatever it is. Yeah. You know, we're also on GoodWiz.
I don't want to know.
You don't? Are you sure? Because it's good. It's actually really good. No, you know what? Everyone, I mean, why would I have to explain it to you? Everybody knows what GoodWiz is, and we're definitely on there. So don't worry about it.
Check it
out. So when we end these episodes, we like to leave you with a quote so that you can think about it. And obviously we come back to it every episode, and we always circle back. And this week's quote is, if you believe in yourself and have dedication and pride and never quit, you'll be an asshole. The price of victory is high, but so are the rewards.